What is up, YouTube? So I figured I'd make another video, a continued video on the last one on 2018 Dodge Ram 1500 with the 3.6 pentastar. In the previous video I gave some information on the pentastar, how it tows, things of that nature. If you didn't see the other video, you can grab it on my channel. I'll just do a quick overview. 3.6 pentastar, it's been a great motor. It actually tows really good for what it is. I have a 20-foot trailer and 2 quads I tow with it. It's usually around like 4,100 pounds. Had it down to West Virginia, towing 7% grades. It does good for what it is. On that trip I got 12.8 miles to the gallon towing, which isn't bad for towing in general. And then around town I get like 19 and a half. If I really want to be about fuel economy, I can get 20 and a half, and I've gotten like 23 or 24 on the highway. But this video I was going to go over some of the accessories I have on the truck and some of the things you can do to your Ram. I'm going to add a few other things. I have this bed cover I got from Amazon. I mean, all kinds of places sell them. I like having a bed cover. We can put our luggage in there. A few other things I did is Rexion taillights, the C-bar taillights I got off American Trucks. You can see them there. And then I got the third brake light, and that is LED as well. And when you open the door, the cargo light, it's pretty nice, especially at night. So that is that's definitely not a must-have upgrade. The black truck and the smoked lights make it look really good. The other thing I put on it is I did put on an exhaust. I did not buy an exhaust system. I welded my own exhaust and a cherry bomb up. And then one of the most recent things I installed was a Start X. You can buy them off Amazon. It's a remote start. I'll quick demonstrate it for you, and then you can hear the cherry bomb exhaust, and then I'll show you the intake up front. So you pretty much hit the lock button 3 times. And that's pretty much how that works. If you hit the unlock button, you have 40 seconds to get into the truck, and then you got to turn the key to the on position, or if you want to shut it off, you hit the lock button 3 times. Like I said, it's nothing special. It's I use most of the factory piping, and it's a bed dump exhaust. They have a similar one for $795 on American Trucks. It's MagnaFlow. I didn't want to spend that, so I just made a mirror-like exhaust to what they sell on American Trucks. So that's pretty much that. And like I said, just to shut the truck down, and that's pretty much all there is to that. I do have another accessory on here I don't use anymore. I covered that in my last video. It's a pedal commander. I personally think I got a faulty unit. That is the pedal commander there. And one of the other things I want to do is that's the factory 2018. This is a express Ram. I want to get the Laramie or the higher trim gauge cluster. There's different programmers you can use to flash it over. My buddy works at a Dodge dealership, so you can flash my mileage and engine hours on it, but it has more information, and the cluster itself looks nicer. And then if you're not interested in doing exhaust on this truck, to be honest with you, when I put the Can-Am intake on it, it actually made the truck louder, if that makes sense. Not like an exhaust was, but it did definitely add some extra noise to it if you're not looking to put an exhaust. But yeah, it's a Can-Am intake. It's a whole set. It comes with this filter box, which is nice because it comes with the weather stripping on it, and it seals with the hood. You don't have to worry about like water and road stuff getting in there. It comes with the Can-Am filter that you can wash and reuse. It comes with this charge pipe and all the grommets you need for PCV valve and the mass airflow sensor down there. Just be very careful with those. They're very delicate, the mass airflow sensor, and essentially just gets rid of that big restrictive box up front. Doesn't really make the engine look any nicer. It's not really a show engine like on my Mustang, but yeah, the Can-Am intake definitely works. Do I feel more power out of it? Between that and the exhaust, it has a little bit more get up and go. I really did it just to try to get a little bit more torque for towing. I mean, if you really wanted to get hardcore into it, Diablo sells a computer. Your computer's right there. You can get them to write you a tune for whatever's you want. I don't really have too many other plans with this. I did get different running boards. I do not like the factory running boards. They're actually in the house. I just was waiting. Today's a nicer day, but it's still a little cold. I'll put them on. They're black. They sit closer to the truck, and then they have like boot holes or whatever for you to ease to step up into it. This gets really slick in the winter and in the snow. I'm not a big fan of it. Eventually, as I covered in my other video, the oil filter housing right there, that's where your oil filter's at. Those tend to leak. On average, they say 75,000 miles. The housing itself is plastic, and then there's O-rings that sit in there, and the O-rings tend to wear out, and it'll leak into the intake valley, and it'll actually look like a rear main seal leak. Dorman makes all aluminum housing that you can replace it with, and then to do that job, you have to pull the upper and lower intake plenum. Yeah, when I decide to do that, which I'll probably do it around 75,000 miles, I do plan on replacing the plugs while I'm, down there, and then Rip Performance. They make coil packs for it. Rip also makes a centrifugal supercharger for this. If you really wanted to get crazy with it, they do make it for the Ram. They make a bigger intake manifold that sits in front of your rad for it to work. A few other parts that they sell, I believe it's an 80. I don't know for exact. It's an 80 some millimeter throttle body for the truck. The other thing that I may do is an oil catch can. It tends, your throttle body tends to get dirty from the PCV system. So running an oil catch can, it keeps it cleaner, and it filters out all the particle and debris in your oil, just for a healthier engine. But I mean, they don't go crazy with the 3.6 Pentastar for performance add-ons. They do make, there's two different companies. I think one's called PUD. I can't remember the other one. They do make ported upper and lower intake plenums. Like I said, this isn't a race truck. If you had a Charger, V6 Charger, Challenger, those are some of the things you could do to put a bigger throttle body on it and intake plenum and all of that stuff. I don't know if it's worth it for me, for the money, for the horsepower gains you'd really get. I mean, I'd have to see a dyno video where they're like, you're picking up 30 foot-pounds of torque, 40 foot-pounds of torque. I don't know if that's achievable without a tune. If that was achievable with a tune, it put you a little over 300 foot-pounds of torque. I think these came with 268 or 269 foot-pounds of torque. The newer ones have an e-torque system on it. This one does not. It was the 2019s that came out with the e-torque systems, the 3.6 and the 5.7 Hemis. And essentially, it doesn't give you any more torque. It just gives you torque off the line for like a couple seconds. So it doesn't actually add to your all-around torque number. So, I mean, I would have to see a video to increase torque by like 30 or 40 foot-pounds of torque, because obviously towing, if you buy a truck, you may be buying it for towing. Torque is where you get, all your towing is from torque. And then these motors from the factory are 305 horsepower as well. So there is some aftermarket support for these engines. A lot of the Chargers and Challengers will use some of this stuff. Like I said, it's a pickup truck, so I'm not really looking to, race it, obviously. I mean, for what it is, it does get up and go pretty good. My dad has a 2023 Dodge Ram 2500 with 6.4 Hemi in it. Surprisingly, this thing will keep up with it. Now, granted, 1500's a bit lighter, but I've driven both vehicles. I do love the Ram interiors. I like both front ends. I like this front end. I also do really like the 2019, the 5th gen front ends. And the 5th gen interiors are a little bit better, but honestly, I like the 4th gen steering wheel as well. So I don't really know what else I'm going to do to this. I've toyed around with getting the 8.5-inch touchscreen. This does have a backup camera on it. I just don't like it because it's a smaller screen, and I would like to have GPS. Infotainment makes a whole kit, but it's like $1,500, and I don't know if I want to justify spending $1,500 for it. It's nice, but I don't know. I mean, you can look at the screen here. It's not a super big screen. So that's pretty much all the additions I put on this truck. I was toying around with a few other things about potentially doing a small lift, but I don't know really what I want to do. I definitely will do headlights at some point in time since I did the tail lights, but I didn't want to get crazy with this truck. But I do love this truck. I will say, obviously the 2500s have a stiffer suspension, and after driving my dad's truck and this truck, hands down, this truck rides super nice. In general, this truck rides super, super nice. That is one of the things I absolutely love about this truck. The ride is very, very comfortable for a pickup truck. It does have the coil springs in the back. Because of that, it will ride nicer. But also because of that, when you put a trailer on the back, it does tend to squat a little bit more. But I have nothing but good things to say about the Pentastar. If you're in the market and you're not sure if you want a Hemi or a Pentastar, if you do your research, the Pentastar is actually, I'll probably get a lot of crap for this, but the Pentastar, in my opinion, reliability wise and from the research that I've done, is more reliable than the Hemi. You get more power with the Hemi, obviously you get more torque, and it's going to tow better. There's no way a 3.6 Pentastar will ever out-tow any 8-cylinder truck. But if you're not looking to tow, I believe this is rated at 7,500 or 7,600 pounds. I have 351 or 353 gears in this. I can't remember. It's 350 something gears in it. I have the door tag somewhere. I'd have to look for it. The dealer sticker that came with it. Pardon the camera, that's going to be all over the place. Oh. No, that's the warranty. I don't know if I have it or not anymore. I do. I did not buy this truck new, as I covered in my other video. I bought it with 17,000 miles on it. It has 56,000 miles on it. I have no issues with it. I'm sorry, I was incorrect. Interior options. Excuse me. This has so this truck originally came with 321 rear axle ratio. This optioned equipment was 355 rear axles. It also came with a brilliant black crystal pearl coat exterior paint. This is the Express package. It came with the rear floor mats, the 17-inch aluminum wheels, front fog lamps, as you can see down there, which does not always come factory on some of your lower class Rams, because this is considered a lower class Ram. This does not have a spray and bed liner. It has a plastic bed liner in it. Another reason why I put the tonneau cover on it. I'm sorry, that was incorrect. This is a 20-inch aluminum chrome clad wheels. It has a Uconnect 5-inch display, 5-inch touchscreen. It has voice command with Bluetooth, temperature and console, compass gauge, overhead console. and then the body matching front bumper and rear bumper. So that was the optioned out on this truck, and I did buy it with 17,638 miles on it. So that was and then it comes with the 8-speed automatic 845 RE transmission. I believe that is the same transmission they run in the other Rams as well. I even do believe in the 2500s. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, that's some of the options on this truck. They said I bought it with 17,000 miles on it. I think it has 56,000 miles on it. I've had no problems. I covered a little bit of something that with the pedal commander, it just wasn't behaving right. And we did have a little bit of metal on the oil filter, but it wasn't like bearing materials or anything like that. It actually looked like a casting, but it wasn't like any big flakes. So, and I've talked to my friend who's a Dodge mechanic, and that is sometimes normal from time to time on newer trucks, as long as it's not anything crazy. So after 2 years of ownerships with this truck, I've had zero issues with it. I do tow a lot with it. I have a 17-foot fiberglass boat I tow with this, and actually that tows it pretty well because that boat's not over 3,000 pounds. I've had the 20-foot trailer with 3 quads and a motorcycle on it. We're probably closer to 5,000 pounds on that, and it did fairly well for what it is. If you're not looking to tow some huge camper or anything crazy like up to 6,000 or 7,000 pounds, like right against its towing capacity, it does do a great job. I mean, for a full-size pickup truck to get 20 and a half miles to the gallon, if you're taking care of it and not driving it for fuel economy, that's really not too terrible. I know the Hemis don't get that bad of fuel mileage either, but if you can get 3 or 4 miles to the gallon and better in a year, that does save you quite a bit of money. And like I said, I enjoy the truck. I was always a Chevy guy growing up, but I will tell you, I do love this Ram. I mean, every truck has their pros and cons, but if you're in the market for a 3.6 Pentastar, to circle back to what I was saying, in the research that I've done, they are very reliable motors. They made over 10 million of these motors. That is an insane amount of motors. Dodge puts these in Jeeps, Rams, vans, Chargers, Challengers, basically everything in their fleet they run this in. It's won all kinds of awards. On average, their average lifespan is like 250,000 miles, 200 to 250,000 miles, which is really good. Some of the earlier Pentastars, as I covered in my past video, they did have some issues with it. But after like 2015, the Ram addressed some of them, and they're great motors. I have nothing but good things to say about it. I know the Hemis have some cam or lifter problems and manifold problems and just some other things that the Hemis have. So in my opinion, these motors, if you do your research, they are actually very reliable motors. There's been reports of some in the 400,000 mile club as well. So if you're looking for something and you don't know a lot about the 3.6 liter Pentastar, this video might help you. There's some other great videos. The Pentastar is made by Fiat, and it's been around for a long time. It's dual overhead cam. It's won all kinds of awards because of its size and the power it puts out, because it's a very small motor, but it puts out a very good amount of power for its size. And the other positive thing, when you watch the video and I'm showing you under the hood, the amount of space you have from the rad to the motor, if you ever look like my dad's truck with the 6.4 Hemi, there's no room to work on anything. I mean, you got to go into the fender wells to do plugs, to even get the serpentine belt off. There'd be all kinds of things on alternator or anything else that goes off. At least in this truck, you have that space. So if you need to do a serpentine belt or an alternator or anything like that. Con to this, because of the intake manifold, you have to pull the intake off. If you're just doing spark plugs, you only have to pull the upper intake manifold off. And there's little rubber gaskets in there. And the green, I believe the lighter green ones are reusable and the blue ones are not. But normally they're very cheap to get, and they're not like your old school intake gaskets. They're actually just sit in a groove, and it seals it up. So yeah, that was my second continued video on the review on this 2018 Dodge Ram. Like I said, it's a great truck. Had zero issues with it. It's 4-wheel drive. The only other thing that I've done to this is I do the rust proofing. Living in an area in Pennsylvania that gets lots of snow, and all the crap they put on the roads, I wanted to make sure this truck doesn't rust out. And it does have the rear fender liners in it as well. So yeah, that's about it. Those are a little few odds and ends I put into it. I'll do another video when I put the running boards on, and maybe when I put the gauge cluster on, I may do a driving video with this thing as well. But yeah, so if you have any questions on these trucks, you feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm by no means I'm an expert on it. I just did a lot of research before. I got the Pentastar because it was in between the Hemi or this, and with the truck market and in general the used truck market the way it is, you do pay quite a bit more for a Hemi now from the factory. I think it's $2,900 upcharge if you choose a Hemi over the 3.6 Pentastar. But yeah, so I hope this video helps. If you're in the market to look for a Dodge Ram, this is not the e-torque Ram, so I can't specifically speak on it. I've never driven an e-torque Ram, but there are other videos out there that covers it. But if you're looking for a full-size pickup truck that's maybe a little bit more affordable and you have something small you like to tow, this truck's great. If you don't think that this V6 has enough power, I can tell you, I tow quite often between the 20-foot trailer and my 17-foot fish and ski boat. It does great. We've been on 500-mile towing trips down to West Virginia with this thing through the mountains, and it's done good. I've had zero issues with it, zero check engine lights, zero anything. So I hope this video helps. Till next time.